with us. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we got some people in person, some people in Zoom. Good evening, everyone. I am Councilman Gilmore. Welcome to our third quarter town hall meeting. We've been doing quarterly town hall meetings since I've been in office. It's part of my pledge to be more transparent and more importantly and the captain is late. He's coming in. To be more transparent, more communicative as an office, just trying to make sure the information that we're receiving, we're dispersing that information in real time. So everyone's abreast of what's going on in the ward. Please make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, everythingwardf.com. More importantly, subscribe to our Newsweek as that's our best and quickest form of communication as it relates to information coming in. So without further ado, I do want to thank everyone who came to present tonight. These meetings are always interesting in a sense that we have some people in person, we have some people online, and then subsequently we have a group of people that rewatch it and then submit their questions. So I think that's a great thing. A lot of times people work 2 and 3 jobs just to stay afloat, especially with the cost of living in Jersey City now. So without further ado, I think we're going to, is Rising Tide Capital here? Okay, I'm looking, I'm hearing no one, I'm seeing no one. All right, so let's do public safety. Because I know people have concerns about public safety. We have both of the captains here. No, I guess you guys can come here, unless you need to sit down. Oh, okay.
Just so, back up so you're both seeing them.
Yeah, if you guys could just from a visual perspective, you'll be able to see. No. When you stand here, see, look, there you go. That's shot you. There you go. So we can just get some public safety updates. And also plug your meetings in when you guys have your meetings. And then if anyone have any questions, comments, concerns as it relates to public safety.
Thanks. Okay, I'm the West Commander. If that's anything from, we're gonna go Claremont to Sip Avenue to Garfield to the Hudson Mall. Anybody have any questions?
So public safety concerns, y'all. Public safety concerns. If before that, Cap, if you can give us just a brief update as it relates to statistics. I don't know. Well, I'm not gonna let the cat out the bag yet because it's still early, but you know, we're keeping our fingers crossed. We have a lot of good things taking place as it relates to crime. But if you can give us just an update on just like the basic crimes that we've been tracking.
I can give you for the last month. Well, let's go with the last month. That's the closest. No shootings. In my district, stolen cars were down.
The young lady is clapping for no shootings, y'all. Clap with the young lady. Thank you,
let me see. Car thefts were down. Oh, lock your doors, please, because that's how people are breaking into the cars. People are leaving their doors open. If you have a scooter, one of these electric scooters, just don't leave it in front of your house. They will take that too. Chain it up, bring it in if you can. The biggest issue I'm having in my district, I don't where might go, or it's over here, is right now is package thefts. Because a lot of people you get the package at 1 o'clock, you don't get home broke till 5:30, it's gone. Or people get the package delivered on, let's say, Friday or Saturday, and they're not home. They come back Monday, it gets reported Monday. So if you can, make sure your doors are locked, because that's the other thing. If you live in the apartment building, make sure your boss locks. Your building manager locks it.
One, Rakia? No. Yeah.
You can use your cell phone if you're just now joining. You do have the power to unmute yourself, but if you can stay muted, if you have a question, just raise your hand.
I was like, where's that voice come from?
Radio.
That's been our biggest issue this last month. I'm saying August, which was pretty good because the summer, that's usually when crime is the highest. It's kind of low. So hoping that stays as a trend as it gets colder. I hope it gets lower. But our biggest thing was package theft, because it also comes under burglaries now because people are going into foyers and stealing packages. That was really it.
Now, also online, we have people, so we'll do questions from this crowd first, as it relates to anything that's public safety, and then we'll go to the crowd online. So if anyone have questions here, I know Tina is here. Okay, everybody have questions. All right, you know what, why don't we let, Cap, you introduce yourself, and then we'll let them ask some questions after that.
All right, thanks, Councilman. My name's Captain Hewlings. I'm the,
It works. It just wasn't on. Oh, maybe it doesn't. I'll try.
I'm the South District Commander. And pretty much everything Captain Olszewski said, I'm gonna kind of just piggyback on that, because the West District and the South District are very similar. We have a lot of the same problems. A lot of them are with the same people. So we try to communicate a lot and work together a lot. So Ward F is more the West than the South, but if anybody lives in the South, I'm happy to help you. And even if you're not sure, if you reach out to either one of us, you know, we can get in touch with the other person or the councilman or the mayor's action bureau.
Oh, resident response.
The resident response center. If anybody uses them, that's a great resource. They always steer you in the right direction. They reach out to us all the time with any crime related issues that anybody contacts them with. But yeah, same thing in the South. In the last month, we had no shootings also. The whole city, we're doing pretty good this year. And even like our investigative units, when we do have shootings, they're doing an excellent job with making arrests and everything. I believe they made a gun arrest today. And in the last month in the South, we took 3 guns off the street. And I believe the number for the year for the South District, 73 guns we took off the street. So I'm very happy about that. I know the West, I don't know your exact number, but they have a lot too. So 5 this month. Yeah, so we're doing a good job with that. We're focusing a lot of quality of life issues. I know that's a big complaint we get, so we try to do whatever we can with that. Same thing, car burglaries. We see the videos all the time too, people walking up and down the street, pulling on door handles. So lock your doors and don't leave anything valuable visible in the car, because let them go to somebody else's, not yours. Yeah, same thing, everything. We had a good summer, so we're trying to keep it that way.
All right, so we'll do questions in the front row, and then we'll go like in the sequence. So you, Chris, you.
No, I have a question.
I have a question.
Can we bring them up so that people on Zoom can hear?
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Dawn Isa, and I have lived in Jersey City my entire life, 60 years. And prior to that, my family had a home on Orient Avenue, which stayed in the family for 75 years. So we've been here for a long time. When I was a child, if you didn't have a backyard to do a barbecue or play cards or whatever, you went to the park. Now it seems as though it's all over the place. Now I believe, I'm not sure, you have to tell me, there's a no bordering law. Okay. It should be. Okay. Okay, because I'm getting tired of seeing all of these drug dealers hanging out and gathering together, and then all this garbage from all these people. I mean, I understand people have to make an extra living. Okay. But if you want to do that, get a permit. I was told by a police officer yesterday, you're supposed to have a permit to do that. And it's not being checked whether or not the person even has a permit. So that's the first thing, is there no water. And it creates trash. I'm so sick of all this trash all over the place. If you go downtown, it's beautiful, it's quiet, I don't have to hear all this nonsense. And once upon a time, it was like that up here. So laws need to be more enforced here. He told me you have less manpower. Okay, I understand that. But if there's a person driving by on the police car or standing looking on their phone, then they're not doing their job as far as I'm concerned. So they need to stop, they need to do their job, and then they need to keep it. Because to me, if I'm paying my tax dollars, that's what I'm paying my tax dollars for.
So Cap, if you wanna, if you guys could speak to, I guess the right to, litter and ordering and,
Here's what happened. It was in 1976. They came up with that you can order. It's not illegal to stand on a corner. It's not illegal to hang on the wall. You just can't sell drugs, nobody, you can't pick up prostitutes or whatever. But you just can't come up on somebody and grab and say, you can't hang out. So we have problems with that because we get the complaints all the time. One of my busiest areas, and it's not busy, like I see some areas busy, but I have a problem at Gautier and West Side, where everybody hangs out on that corner. Nobody lives there. We try to pick off one drug dealer at a time. But I've had my narcotics units up there. They're very smart. They're not dumb. We pick off maybe.
Open the stores and they have the store owners so petrified that they won't speak to you guys. That's how scared the store owners are over there.
So the problem is, if nobody is speaking to us, we're not gonna be able to do it on our own. There has to be communication. Some store owners, I got bad news, I'm in on it with them. And the problem is, we can't throw you off the corner. We can make your life difficult and write you tickets for certain things. That's what I've been doing over there, just constantly hoping that they get annoyed enough to just leave and go somewhere else. But the problem is, we're not gonna. You just can't tell people they can't hang out, and we have no control. I actually think there's an ordinance in Jersey, you're not allowed to have a bar.
Open pit, open pit, no open pit.
All over the street.
That was a draft.
That's what you need.
It was a draft.
I
It
think
was a
part
draft
of
last week.
the issue is several things going on. Part of the issue, some people is cooking in front of their house. Another part of the issue is people are not using the proper channels to record the infraction. Right? You call the resident response, see click fix, you get a number, and then you check back. Once they give you the number, then you could check back in. It's hard, it's gonna be hard to do the ticket like right then and there, but most likely if they grilling on Monday, they'll be there Wednesday. So if you put the complaint in Monday, then they know and they'll be able to go out. Then after that, if they don't go out, then you could reach out and say, hey, councilman, I put this C-click fix on this day. They said it was gonna be rectified, nothing has been done. Right, but you have to record the infractions.
So you're saying that if a person is in front of their house, but they're on the sidewalk, blocking the sidewalk, that they're allowed to barbecue and do whatever they
No,
want?
they have to be behind, you have to be on your property.
On their property.
On your property, yes.
Yeah,
This is on
if
a-
they're
yeah.
on the sidewalk,
Let me get the-
if they're on the sidewalk, if they're blocking the sidewalk, we can absolutely address that. On their own property, different story. But, and that's not the first complaint we've gotten about that. We have been addressing it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to address because if they're not causing problems other than blocking the sidewalk a little bit, we don't want to be too harsh with them. But if they're making other people's lives difficult, then we gotta do what we gotta do. So we try to give them a warning, and then if they keep it up, then we'll do what we have to do. So we have been addressing that, there's a lot of it in a lot of different places, there's, you know, we try to do as much as we can. But just a couple of the other things that you, put up, I wanted to address, if there's a cop standing there on a post, on the corner, on their cell phone, that's a pet peeve of mine, I know he doesn't like it. Listen, we're realists though, we don't expect a cop to be standing there for 8 hours and not look at their cell phone. But when they lose track of what's even going on around them because they're so buried in their cell phone, we have a problem with that too. So they need to be out there doing their job, and we do address that. As far as cops driving past things, if somebody's barbecuing or littering and the cops driving past, there's a good chance he's on his way to a call. That's like, even the west and the south, they're very similar. We get complaints, I called the police, they never came. I just looked one up the other day, they got dispatched 3.5 hours after the person called, it was nothing urgent or anything. But 3.5 hours later, they got dispatched because that's how backed up we are in calls. So when these guys know there's 20 calls waiting to be answered, and they're going from call to call to call, they may not stop and address somebody with a barbecue or littering or whatever, just because it's busy. I mean, I wish we could address everything, but the reality of it is the calls are getting prioritized, and even the cops who are out on the street are on their own kind of prioritizing things a little bit. So
Is that
if they drive past something blatant and don't do anything, that's a problem. If they drive past something and they don't do anything because they don't feel like it, that's a problem. But if they're on their way from one call to another, then, you know.
Yes,
Inside of the city instead of making it easy, that we don't need.
people are not signing up for this job like they used to. I believe we have 5 in the academy.
yes, for the Zoom?
I believe we have
And-
5 people in the academy. When I came on, I think from my class alone, it was 150.
If,
That's it.
just because we have Zoom as well, and all the questions could be addressed, because somebody may want to ask the same question as you, I want to bring the mic to anybody that does
Or-
have a question.
Or Lanisha, if they can just repeat the question that's asked, so you're not running all over.
Yes,
Repeat the question that's asked for the Zoom. Thank you.
I repeat it.
yes, you're repeating.
Alright, so the next, no, Cherry is, and then, Cherry, got no questions?
What about the emergency number? Should they call them
I
out?
might
The
have-
number?
Bring him a mic, and then
Correct,
give it to,
So now
Jeff.
Cat bringing the mic.
Commissioner Walker, Jerry Walker, District 3 is my district. This wanted to piggyback off of what you guys were saying in terms of the shootings. Now, I really appreciate that it haven't been no shootings, but you know, I want to give credit to the guys that's on the ground that's helping us out, the incredible messenger program, because that program is really helping. And I bought it from DC. Actually, we started at the county. I wish the city could do something too in terms of contributing to that, because that's the most effective thing. That to me is like a part of community policing, to have some people from the community help the cops out and have better relationships. And I think they get a lot of credit for that as well. In terms of, you know, some of the things that me and Councilman Gilmore been working on, we had a great tournament with all the so-called, I don't know what to call them, members of the community, right? Members of the community from all different neighborhoods, 72 hours apiece. It was wonderful. You know, at the end of the whole thing, for the record, at the end of the whole thing, it was a car that came by and it kind of backfired. So it wasn't gunshots, guys. I just want everybody to know that. So I just want to put that on the record. But it was a wonderful thing to see all the young people out there that so-called have this controversy amongst each other, and just to see them talking amongst each other. So we got to like continue to do that more. I think that's very effective. So I just wanted to make that statement. And I did have a robbery too, by the way, in Team Walker building. So we got to catch these guys.
That's
okay?
the East.
That's the East.
That's the East.
That's the
Yeah.
East.
Yeah, we gotta catch these guys, all right?
Was the team Walker building secure?
Yeah, it was, they cut them.
I'm gonna talk to you privately
Oh,
about that,
oh,
because I
all
found
right.
out some information.
Okay, all right.
All right, Jess,
If I could just say something real quick, I agree 100% with everything that the commissioner said. And, you know, I'm standing up here, the captain's standing up here, we're giving stats, we're saying this, we're talking about what a good job our guys are doing. The investigations people, what a good job they're doing. We can't do any of it by ourselves. And even when we do make good arrests or this and that, pretty much every one of them has something to do with people from the community helping us. So you guys are out there, you see everything going on. We can't do it alone. I encourage all sorts of programs like that, and even not necessarily just programs, just us having relationships. And like I said, we can't do it by ourselves. You can't do it by yourself, but together, you know, I think we can do a good job. So I agree with him 100%.
Jess.
Okay, so my question is, well, one was also the drugs and loitering on, actually. You already hit on that. My other question is what are we gonna do, or what are we doing about all these illegal mopeds and bikes and scooters and all these things? It's now out of hand. We actually have whole families now riding around together with a baby on it and, you know, packages and 3 or 4 people on these scooters that they're cutting in between cars and they're just on the sidewalks in between cars, and they're just coming out into the traffic, and they have no insurance, they have no registrations, no helmets. You know, what are we gonna be doing about this?
We've been hitting this for 2 years. If you go down to.
Project for Zoom. Don't forget about our online audience.
Online, people online.
For the last 2 years, we have on weekends mostly, we have a unit that goes out. But we usually take 1 or 2 of them a day. There's just so many of them. They're cheap to buy. And I hate to say this, it's the majority of the problems are the delivery people. Because they come in, out, they drive up the wrong side of the street, outside. We can't chase them. Because we chase them. And like you said, no helmet. They fall, they get injured, guess who they're suing? So what we try to do is wait from the park and then we take their stuff. Well, we will go around at night and see them, run them, make sure they have, because they have to have plates on. They go so, like, it's 30 miles an hour faster, they have to have a plate on. If they don't, we just go take them at night. We're not gonna chase them, we're not gonna chase through the city during the daytime. We'll wait till they park them, then we'll take them.
So we should call in if we see them.
Always, yes, always, yes, always. Yeah,
Yeah, because we'll come and take them at night, because they have to be registered. Correct.
Zoom can't hear you.
issue, just repeat the question, Cap, it's live music.
Cars are so loud every day. You hear all these big speakers that practically blow you down when you go down. I'm assuming at some point, somewhere, maybe a policeman might hear them and say, okay, you gotta shut this noise down, it's disturbing the peace or whatever, something like that. Can we do something about that?
We usually write in the city ordinance, say it's 242.7 A, B, C, and D. And you pick one of them and you write them. The problem is, what we've been getting, we got away from it for a while. They started coming back this weekend, is those guys who race. And they line up because Jersey is very unique. You have Route 440. What does Route 440 not have? Exactly. So they have a website. They come, they're all in, maybe 10% are from Jersey City, mostly Perth Amboy, Patterson, Elizabeth. And they come and they race and music. That's what when you hear at the night, like 2 in the morning, that's them. We try to grab, and we're not gonna grab if there's 100 of them. We're lucky we grab 2. Because they take off, fly. We'll get 2, but my thing is we just keep on hitting them and make it uncomfortable for them to come. Wow.
On 440?
No.
That's a
Okay.
state,
Right,
yeah, that's
that's
the
a state
state.
highway.
Yeah, that's the state.
But that's a
Let's-
straightaway.
Let's let this young lady, she have a question. We could give her the mic.
And just to also address the people who drive on like the regular streets blasting the music, we do address it. It annoys us the same as it annoys you. We write tickets, everything. There's so many cars and, you know, we write somebody a ticket. Once we drive away, they're probably gonna turn it right back up again. So, I mean, we try. It's a difficult thing to enforce. But we do our best. If you have any specific information or areas, you know, you can always tell us and we'll try, but the people just driving around, we do address it. I know in the South, in total, we wrote over like 200 tickets last month. I know a bunch of them more for that, so. You know, we do address it. Don't think it doesn't go, unaddressed.
She has a question.
Thank you. Officer, you said something earlier in response to the question. You mentioned that residents should tell you what's happening. Can you tell us what is the best way to get in touch with you? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people do follow up, but they just don't get any response. So what is the best way for us to really convince you guys to come up when we go?
Oh, the mic's right there. There you go.
Come like this. Alright, what I would, like, what I do in my district, I'll give you my work cell phone, just going direct. Because what happens is, a lot of times, here's what will happen, when you call the dispatch. And you tell them something, let me explain to you how it works, because everybody's very confused with this. There's a call taker. This is the 5477, not 911. 911 C caucus. Don't ask me how, but we still have that system. And C caucus calls us, and it's like telephone. But what happens is the call taker gets the call. Call taker writes up the call, gives it to the dispatcher. The dispatcher types up the call, gives it out to the cop. Sometimes there's a little lost in translation, because what I'm reading on the screen is totally different to what they gave out. So, and then what they'll do is they'll put it in, they number it. So like if there's let's say there's a homicide, that's a 1. Shooting is 2. Let's say entry in progress of burglary 3. But when you get these calls for the DGs especially, it's 7 or 8. Which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 have to be taken care of first. Now, like we're saying, me and him have the 2 busiest districts. We could start off, let's say 3 o'clock, we have our cars go out and somebody gets arrested for domestic. You know, we just took off, made the arrest. Then you're gonna have the other car get the restraining order, so now we're down to 4 cars. You guys get a lot of domestics, we get a lot of accidents, that types of cars. So the thing is, once they put in categories, but my thing is, I get a lot of people call me, and what I usually want to do is the time. Tell me the time it's happening. Tell me anything you can give me. Give me descriptions. People send me pictures. Then what I can do is I can have my units go out and do it. Or I can call our undercover units and say, look, these are the guys we're looking for, boom, boom, boom. This is where they are here, this time. And I try to pattern what times, because people are like creatures of habit. If they're doing it at 3 o'clock every day, they're going to be doing it at 3 o'clock Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I try to mold it to an area and a time, but let me just give me a call myself.
If I could just add to that. Like, I like emails better than cell phone, because my work cell phone, I don't have it with me half the time, I don't pay attention to it. I have my email all the time, and if I miss a cell call, you know, I'll call you back when I realize it. But emails, I'll always respond. And so you can get in touch with us that way. I still also, though, encourage you to call 5477, because even if the call gets prioritized and it's busy and they're not going to dispatch cops for however long, you're still creating a record of it. And then when we look to see what our problems are, we say, oh, this area got X amount of calls. We know that's an issue. And even when we ask the people above us for whatever resources we're looking for, the first thing, I'm sure he'll say the same thing. First question we get asked is, oh, how many calls of service do you have there? So You can get in touch with us directly, but also I encourage you to still call.
Also, just, for recording purposes, even if you do call, I think the best form of communication is email. Email tracks when the email was sent, what day, what time, who it was from, who it was to. Even if you talk to them, hey, Cap, as per our conversation, you said X, Y, and Z. Then you can follow up on that email. Hey, they did come, but they came 4 hours later. Hey, I didn't even see if they came. So now, if there's a broken chain of communication, say, hey, Councilman, for the last month, I've been had this issue, and we've reported to the non-emergency number, and nothing haven't been done. I'm going to say, let me see the communication in which you're talking about. So that way I can see in real time how that dialogue took place. Because human behavior, people forget about things, and more importantly, people forget about things they don't want to remember. So if we're documenting everything in a concise manner, then it's an easy check and balance mechanism. So I always encourage everyone to utilize emails. Yeah. Also, there's a sign-in sheet going around if everyone can just make sure that they sign in. And also, one more thing as it relates to loitering. I know sometime in, I want to say 98, 99, 2000, we had this loitering. In fact, they had wandering in the drug area. Unfortunately, well, I don't know if it's unfortunately or fortunately, it's been deemed unconstitutional because the biggest recipients of those type of individuals who were being arrested were Black and brown individuals. Some people feel like the law was targeting specific ethnic groups. So they've done away with that loitering. But you know what's really amazing to me is that, and I can't understand how it happened. While there is no loitering, people don't loiter in certain areas. They tend to only loiter and congregate in certain areas. It's just extremely fascinating to me.
Let me give you one more. With that loitering law, there was something else. We used to just write the ticket. City got all the money. State heard about this and said, where's our cut? And the state said, wait, we have a loitering for CPS charge. That's a crime. You have to arrest them. You can't. Right.
Mm-hmm. So does anybody, if you're on Zoom and you have any questions, comments, or concerns as it relates to public safety, please, I guess, unmute yourself, raise your hand.
For the record, if you have the next captain's meeting for the South and the West District.
Yes, what are the dates and time and locations?
Mine's the 26th at St. Peter's College at 6 p.m.
The 26th of September.
September 26th.
6 p.m. St. Peter's College for the West District captain's meeting.
And what about yours?
The South District will be October 8th, 6 p.m. and that'll be right here in this room.
Okay. Now, I know some people came in a little while we were discussing. Do you guys who just arrived have any concerns as it relates to public safety issues? Because we're going to be dismissing the captain soon to get into other parts of the agenda. So if you have any questions, comments, and concerns, is that Miss? Oh my goodness, I didn't see you. So, yes.
Does everybody in your community have a block association? Okay, that's the first thing you should start. Because you have strength in numbers. I see some block associations, nothing goes on in that block. Because nobody goes on that block, there's neighbor one close neighbor, and they have everything on camera, and everybody's kind of tight knit. If you get a block association going, you will also cut down your crime, because now it's not one person complaining, it's 45 people complaining. And the people who are causing you these problems, they will get annoyed and leave. And you don't care because you're getting rid of them. But if you get a block association going, that's actually very good to do.
Okay, well, all right, Caps, we thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate you. Oh, hold on, Miss Lawrence have one more.
We have one of the patrol guys in the afternoon to walk down by Michigan Hill Park on Wilkinson Avenue. Because there's a family there, there's a lot of children, neighborhood children, they are doing this tradition. So the neighborhood children, don't want to go in the park.
So Ms. Barnes' question or statement was that we can have more police presence in or around Wilkinson Park because of a family and individuals around there, some potential conflict, just for the people on Zoom, so you can hear the question.
Yep, yeah, we can make that like a directed patrol. Is it a specific time? Like after school, you're saying, or?
And on Saturdays and Sundays, this is Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, Saturdays and Sundays, like what time is it, the morning, afternoon, all day,
Kids,
back and forth?
24 hours, yes.
Okay. So yeah, on the weekends, if we can have some coverage out there, just to circle the area.
Yeah, we gotta add some patrols over there. Okay.
And one other thing, is there a camera inside that park?
Yes, there's several cameras in that park.
Yeah.
On Wilkinson.
As long as they're working.
That's another thing. That's another issue, if they're working or not. No,
I think they
are.
are. I think they are. But keep in mind, we don't have somebody sitting monitoring these cameras 24/7. We can utilize them, you know, when we're investigating something, while we're watching something, or if something happens after the fact, we can go back and look at them. But we don't necessarily have somebody monitoring them 24/7.
Okay, we have about 30 dogs in the block. And they, early in the morning, they take the dogs and they go in the park. They don't have no bag and nothing to feed it behind the door. And the children go in there and play. It's really kind of bad.
Okay, we could try to address that too, and we could also try to get DPW over there if it's a mess and clean it up too, periodically.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions, comments, concern? Seeing none, hearing none. Okay, thank you, Caps. So we're gonna move to the next presenter, and this looks like we're at community development, Ms. Stevens. Y'all can clap for her, yeah. Yeah, y'all unsure, like, should we or should, yeah. Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, while she's doing that, I know, we had, I guess, I don't know, a pause or discontinued. What is going on with that traffic division in, PD? Is it, I mean, are we still, cause I know at one point we kind of like was doing it, then we stopped doing it altogether.
That's a good question.
Oh,
They still have it. I know mainly right now, I don't even know what kind of manpower
They
they have.
have.
Not much, but they're still doing like the accident investigations, and I think that's where they're spending the majority
of the time. Because I think that's like the bulk of our issue is that the enforcement of the current laws.
Yeah, because I try to utilize them as much as I can too, and I know they're shorthanded too, so they're trying to do what they can, but I don't know exactly how much of that stuff they're doing right now. That's pretty much falling on us a lot right now.
Okay.
Share the zone.
You have,
We still, sorry about that, I'm seeing.
there's somebody, who's that?
I don't know what happened to the Zoom, I wanted to share the screen, but.
Oh, for Zoom, well, the Zoom can see
Yeah, so
here.
I'm just gonna bring this closer so the Zoom can see. Good.
All right.
Okay. Just come in to make sure they can see.
Sure. Hello, guys. Welcome. I'm Tiara Stevens. The captives are a hard act to follow, but I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. So here I am within the Division of Community Development. We serve low to moderate income individuals in the city of Jersey City. So I'm just going to do a brief little overview of what we actually do in our department. And then I'm going to talk about the specific things that I do, which I do the funding for our nonprofits. And we're about to have a grant application open up. So I'm going to just mention those items. So who is community development, right? We have about 3 teams, and majority of our grants come from HUD, so the Housing of Urban Economic Development in Washington. The 3 teams that we have, affordable housing and construction. So the first grant, public facilities, they do like infrastructure for nonprofits. So like if a nonprofit need like a roof done, you would have applied for that grant. We also fund city agencies as well. So like if the security cameras are down in the park, we could fund activities like that with CPF. Home art, affordable housing, that's like affordable housing trust fund, construction dollars. Then we have our direct services team, emergency solutions grant. They do the homeless outreach funding with that grant. Golden Neighborhood is our first homeowner buyers program. Relocation is if you were relocated because of a fire or because of a code violation in your house, and now you need money to like relocate, we give up to $4,000, I believe, and we do first and security deposit with that as well. And home improvement is if you need like your windows replaced or something for your house, you do that with that grant. Community development public services, my grant, that's when we fund nonprofits. And public service is the same thing. I mean, community service block grant is the state version of my grant. And HOPWA, housing for persons with AIDS, is kind of like Section 8 if you have somebody in your family that is an AIDS person, who one of our agencies will pay a portion of the rent. I know that's like a lot of grants, but now we're going to specify on one of them, which is community development block grant public services. So what is community development? So we receive our money from HUD, Housing Urban Economic Development. Majority of our money go to communities so we can sustain low to moderate income individuals, like you mentioned, and it's to promote growth and development within the community. So in order to receive this funding, there's about 3 buckets that need to be met: urgent needs, slum blight, or low to moderate income. Majority of our programs are under limited clientele or area benefit. So area benefit would be like a park. If everyone's in that area is low to moderate income, we can fund that park so everybody is open to the public. Limited clientele would be like after school program in a neighborhood. Not everyone's low to mod, but at least 51% are low to moderate income, and then we can fund a program like that. So who's eligible for this funding? Nonprofits, faith-based organizations, as long as they're not doing religious activities. So like a church can apply as long as a religious like Bible study is not attached to the program. Government agencies can apply for this funding, and individual businesses as well, if they're doing economic development like training, jobs, vocational schools, stuff like that. So in order to apply, you have to meet organizational capacity, which means like at least 3 years up and running as a nonprofit. Financial capacity, so like formal controls. Administrative capacity, because our grant do require a good amount of monitoring and reporting. And if you are a new program, if you're a returning program, we require a new or expansion of your services showing that your program has grown from the last grant cycle. So we host a ton of eligible activities. So we can fund youth services, domestic violence, substance abuse, homeless shelters, It's endless what we provide funding for. And every third Tuesday at 2 p.m. we have open house. These are also in the pamphlets that they passed around as well. So you can come to our open house. They're open to the public if you have any questions or concerns about any of our grants. If you want to know more about information. Our last open house was yesterday. We did a financial mapping for the nonprofits, like how to voucher out and how to get your payments. Next month, I believe we're doing fundraising, so that's gonna be the next one in October. And then we're also doing our pre-application seminar. So if you have any nonprofits that want to apply, our pre-application seminar should be in October, but we will be sending out announcements through our DTD announcements. So I'll put a paper in the back if you want to sign up for our website. You can just like write your email and then we'll sign you up. We're also doing a mortgage fair in October. I think it's October 26th. So it's a Saturday. If you want to come out and know more about our first homeowner program, our HIP program, which is like the improvement program. And we'll have lenders and all of those credit repair as well out for our mortgage fair. So that's October 26th on a Saturday. And this is just the information about our RFP. So it should be opening October 8th. So if any nonprofits, again, that's the link to apply. It closes November 21st. And yeah, any questions? Okay. Yes.
Just repeat his question.
For the grants for the nonprofits, how much should we allot? So it depends on the program. Like our economic development programs will get more money than like our regular public services because the federal government only allows 15% of our money that we get to go towards nonprofits. So currently, I think this year we have $600,000, so we only can use a portion of that for our nonprofits.
Pre-application seminar mandatory for you to attend.
Repeat the
Yes,
question.
the pre-application seminar is mandatory to attend if you want to receive funding. So our pre-application seminar is going to be about 3 hours, and it's for our economic development grant, public services grant, ESG, which is the homeless grant, HOPWA, the housing with AIDS grant, and just those, but the mortgage fair will do the other grants.
I don't know. It's within your forte. But and I am in this section 42, whatever building I live in. So I do have a lower rent. But I've been trying to get on section 8 for quite some time now. Is there any way, or do you have any involvement with that?
So we do not do section 8 in our division, but we can hand out referrals as well. Like if you were need to talk to somebody, like we do referrals in our division. But specifically for section 8, we only fund people like agencies. So we can give you the referrals to agencies that we fund.
And that's the Jersey State Housing Authority.
Yes.
And we can give you a direct contact to Housing Authority as well.
Okay.
A round of applause.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. We appreciate you, young lady. So before we have the development presentation, Rich, if you can just give us an update as it relates to someone have a question for community development online?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, young lady. What is your question?
I know people that was on the list to have like things done to their house, but we trying to find out whatever happened to the list of the people.
Oh, this is different. You're talking about that grant for the facet changes on MLK Ocean between something Claremont and another block. I know in Orient, yeah, we got to circle around with Jackson Hill because that was a grant slated for the Jackson Hill SID. And I know there's a bunch of you guys on the list that were approved and you're essentially just waiting for the disbursement of money. But this is community development. They don't deal with those funds.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else online have any questions for community development? Seeing none, hearing none. All right, thank you, Ms. Stevens. We appreciate you, young lady.
I'll put business cards.
Yeah, she's gonna put business cards in the back.
And I'll place that flyer in the chat for Zoom.
Yes, and we'll put the flyer in the chat as well. So Rich Hiatus is the representative from the MUA. He's gonna give us a brief update on all of these sewer lines they're taking a century to replace.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. My name is Rich Hadas. I'm the Chief Engineer for the Jersey City Municipal Utilities Authority. I'm going to give you a little background. We're responsible for the conveyance of water to everybody and the conveyance of sewage to, enter into the sewer system and get treated. Back in 2008, the MUA was entered into a federal mandated consent decree, which required the city, the MUA, to televise all the sewers within the system. And again, there's probably there's 5,800 manholes, there's 245 miles of sewer system, there's about 3,000 miles of water mains. So our task was to televise the sewers, and as we all know, Jersey City being an aging sewer, the infrastructure is old. Out of that, the TV inspection, we had to categorize sewers that were in imminent danger of collapsing. The category went from scale 1 to 5. Any sewer that was categorized as 3, 4, or 5, the city was mandated to replace. We've been actively working with our consulting engineers, designing new sewers, implementing additional storm sewers to prevent a lot of the flooding. So right now, after 10 years, a lot of the sewers have been redesigned. They've been approved by the state of New Jersey, DEP. And as the councilman stated, now it's time to actually do the work. And again, anytime you go down the street, most likely if it's closed off, it's because of the MUA doing the water and sewer mains. I tell you right now, and Councilman Gilmore could test, it's a big inconvenience to all the residents. I mean, you have large machines in front of your house. Sewers are the deepest utility. They're 10, 12 feet deep, requires heavy machinery. They're digging large holes, putting in large diameter pipes. What we found as we were started replacing sewers was any shiftment of the ground, the soils, the old water mains would break. So that triggered another redesign to say, listen, while we're in the ground, let's not only replace the sewer, let's replace the water mains. And then just 2 years ago, the EPA mandated that we replace all lead lines. So now on top of that, we are now combining water main replacement, sewer line replacement, and water service replacement all in one project. Now, again, a typical project of one block would take probably about 3 to 4 months. But as you do the sewer and as you do the water and as you do the lead services, it takes, up to a year and a half to get everything completed. And again, depends on how deep the sewer, how long the block is. We've been on Garfield for the last 6 months between Bayview and Fulton. And, it's not an easy task. It's not easy for the residents to understand, waking up to large equipment in front of the house, the noise, the vibration, the dust. The only thing I have to say is once we're done, meaning putting all the utilities in, you'll have a new street. What we usually say, it's a small inconvenience for a long-lasting improvement. Once we're out of there, we'll repave the street. We'll restore any damaged property, sidewalks, curbs. Again, people got to realize that when we do this work, yes, sidewalks are going to crack. You may get some cracking in the front step. We take pre-construction photos and then we compare them to whatever damage that we may have caused and we replace them. As part of that, we also are gearing up for a long-term control plan where on Garfield, extensive flooding at Bayview and Garfield, Bidwell and Garfield, Richard Street at the dead end. What we're trying to do is incorporate an additional sewer in the street to take all the stormwater that when it rains, get that out of the combined sewer and get that into a surrounding area where the stormwater could percolate into the ground. This is done for several reasons. One, it provides additional room inside the combined sewer. Two, it prevents street flooding. Again, when streets flood, emergency vehicles cannot navigate, regular cars can't navigate, and then you get the vehicles that think that they're, untouchable, and they go through 30, 40 miles an hour and create a wave, and it crashes into the homes, doors, anybody who has ground floor apartments. And again, and also the big thing is we're trying to resolve a lot of the flooding that people have in their basements. As we all know, the storms, I've been with the city for 27 years. Storms are definitely getting worse. We're getting a lot of rain in short duration of times. And a lot of people say, well, just bigger pipes. Sometimes that's not the solution because eventually it catches up. So putting additional storm sewers in areas where we get stormwater to a grass area or field. I mean, I know there's not a lot of fields, or even directly connecting into the Penhorn Creek.
I'm sorry, I just need you to back up.
Sure,
a little bit.
sure.
I have to connect this.
The Penhorn Creek, the Hudson River, or the Hackensack River. That's the best means. I've been to a lot of community meetings, and I stress it again. If you see us on your block, it's going to be an inconvenience. I understand people are mad. It's a disturbance to the quality of life. But once we're done, we're done. We're not gonna be digging up the streets. We're not gonna be, filling potholes as, and another thing is just like the captain said, we're only so many people. We rely on the property owners to tell us if the catch basins are clogged. If you see a little hole in the street, because there's times where a little hole in the street, unfortunately, underneath there's a big cavity because a lot of the soil's washed into a broken sewer. So again, we like to get the calls from the residents. You guys are our eyes and ears out there. Anytime you see catch basins that are clogged, anytime you see catch basins that are flooded, just call our customer service. The number is 201-432-1150, and we will respond. We'll do a proper investigation. Whatever needs to be cleaned, if there's a pothole in the street, we will fill it. And again, it is an ongoing battle when you're dealing with an aging sewer, an aging city. And not only that, Jersey City, as we all know, it's booming with developments. So we're trying to keep up with everything that's hitting us now, with the new developments, the storm events, and the aging systems. If anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Yes.
I have one question.
Sure.
So not a form of criticism, but I've noticed that when they finish the work and the sidewalk is concrete, they patch it with asphalt. Are they gonna come back and then, redo the concrete, or is that a permanent solution?
The question is, and that's from our lead service replacement.
That's what.
Correct. What happens with lead service replacement? And again, I don't know how many people heard about Newark. Newark underwent the program about 2 years ago, and that now they're finding some discrepancies where years ago, several residents had lead, and then at some point in time, there was a transition from lead to copper. So what we're doing, we're taking proactive measures to make sure that if you have lead at the water main, you have lead at the curb, and you have lead coming into your meter. So most of the work that we do, when we put it back temporary, it's blacktop. But when we come back and we finish everything, we will restore it with concrete. Now, again, there are times where the contractor forgets, or there's a car park, just call, because they're responsible to restore it. And again, a lot of the times with the streets, if you see us excavate to put a water main in or a sewer main,
we let it sit for about 3 months after we excavate, 2 to 3 months, because the ground got to settle, especially when we're doing sewers. We're doing, 10, 12 feet deep. We're disturbing stuff. We don't want to pave the road and then 2 months later see that you're starting to get the settling and then it doesn't look good. It's not good to drive on. So again, anything that we disturb, we will restore to its original condition. And a lot of times when we're doing the sewer work, and this was a big issue last week, again, we're trying to be, the street is so tight. You got gas, you got communication, you got electric, you got water, you got the sewer. If by accident the water main shifts and it breaks and the block is out of water for an hour or two, maybe 3, it's not done on purposely, and we can't give you notification because we didn't know that the water main was going to break at that time. If we are transferring, we put a new water main down the block and we're going to transfer the old water main to the new water main. It'll be done at night from 10 o'clock to 6 in the morning. We give you 48-hour notice, and we ask, if you need extra water, put it, bottle it, take it, buy a case of water. We do it at night because, again, most of the people are sleeping, very limited water use is happening, and we're trying to not inconvenience the residents as much as possible. So again, if we are on your block, which eventually we will probably be, if you're without water during the course, it's not done intentionally. It was unexpected water main break, but any transfers that we know that's happening, disturbance with the water, we try to do it at night. Yes.
You guys took out my curb cut. I wanted to fix the curb and the sidewalk and the street. My curb cut was, taken out, and just put a regular curb there.
What's your address?
Clark, 30.
Okay, and that's between
West Side Mountain.
and Mount. Well, we did do water and sewer work so we'll look into it. Mark is the director of inspectors. He'll go out there, and if you could just give your name and number, and we'll get back to you on that.
Anyone else?
We have a
any
question on
questions?
Zoom.
Okay. Zoom.
So let me pull her up.
Mute the mic.
Sorry, the computer's slow. Give me a second.
Does anyone else here have any questions, comments, or concerns for MUA sewage issues, problems?
All right, Zoom, we're coming to you next. I see your hand raised. Just bear with me with the slow computer because I'm also broadcasting live. You can unmute yourself if you're on Zoom and you have a question. I did see a hand raised. Miss Suzanne.
Actually, my hand has been raised for at least half an hour, so
I
it
apologize.
actually has nothing to do with this. It had to do with the police, and just let me just say it out loud so that it can be recorded. We have major concerns about the bicycling and the fact that bicyclers go both ways on both sides of the street, and it's very dangerous. And I know that it has nothing to do with this, and I'm so sorry, but I was just leaving my hand raised.
I'm sorry, Miss Suzanne.
It's okay.
We were trying to get the screens going.
I get it. I totally get it. And thank you. And I'll go ahead and mute myself.
If you didn't have an opportunity, though, anybody else on Zoom to ask your questions, Officer Captain Hewlins welcomes emails. So if you email us directly, we'll shoot it over to the respective district captains.
Thank you.
Any other questions about MUA and any of the water projects, sewer projects?
Thank you.
All right, Rich, thank you. Also, guys, we have an MUA meeting coming up on the 24th for updates on Garfield Avenue as well. All right,
Gilmore, I'm sorry, I got a question about it. I couldn't get my computer off mute.
Another pledge I've made for coming into office is to be very transparent as it relates to all development coming into the ward. So I've been asking developers to do a few things. One, to present the project to the immediate area, i.e. that block association, then subsequently come present that project to the community at large, just so we can get a sense or a feeling of what project the community would like to come to fruition, look at the pros and the cons of each of the projects that's going up. Walk with you. Oh, back here?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, to stay here?
Yep. Yes, because I have to connect this to a charger. I lost battery.
Okay. Yeah, so this project is Grand Street. If you guys are familiar, hate to use this trademark, but McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts and the old Pathmark Plaza, directly across the street, there was Ray's Junkyard. Was there. You have PSC&G there now, and to the left is, I think it's Medical Center, like little hub thingy. So they have that parcel of land. Oh, that's the site right there. So they're gonna come up, give a presentation of what they're looking to do, what, if any community givebacks, if there's any affordable housing component and all of that stuff. Yeah, I think that's PSC&G with all the grids there. So you guys come up.
And we'll save that for questions.
Okay.
They didn't take me that much. Did you guys meet across the podium?
There you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Abe Napperstack. I'm with GNS Investors. Part of our team presenting tonight with me here is Max Powell and Buyer Bender Bell. He's our architect. And Jerry Walker is also part of the team. He'll be presenting later in the presentation regarding the workforce development. So I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to do this. I want to thank Councilman Gilmore and the staff for organizing this. We've been working on this project for a number of years, and it's exciting that it's now starting to come together. And we're looking forward to getting feedback from all of you. And while we're early in the process, we are anxious to get going. So we can slide to the next. If you want to do it.
Hey, go to the next slide.
So just real quick, obviously we have an introduction. We're going to talk through our company and our history here in Jersey City. We're the developers of the Metro Plaza site. So I want to talk a bit about Metro Plaza. Max is going to take you through the development, the Grand Street redevelopment. We have some discussion around the environmental conditions on the site, the workforce, housing opportunities, and then just generally the community benefits. So this first picture is the Metro Plaza site, or Hudson Exchange. This is where ShopRite and BJ's are today. And when GNS first came to Jersey City, this is an aerial of what the site looked like. I think our first time in Jersey City was in around 1992. So we've been here for a long time. And the first thing we did when we got here was redeveloping this site. Here's obviously what it looks like before the development started. One of the first things when we had a lot of feedback about the Metro Plaza site. ShopRite's such a critical anchor in this part of the city. So while we've been redeveloping the Metro Plaza project, we made a commitment early on that we were always going to keep ShopRite here at this location. So right now we're in the process. It's actually a project I'm working on with Max to redevelop the next phase, what used to be the Bed Bath & Beyond, and we're building a brand new ShopRite in this location. This project here is what we call Vive. This was the old Pep Boys location. This was developed, it started in 2015, and we completed the second tower in 2020. I think what's relevant, for the discussion tonight is this is one of the first projects in Jersey City that, in the modern era, that had a significant portion of the units being affordable. This project came under the state program that incentivized affordable housing. So we have over 160 apartments in this building that are set to average median income of 80%. So, I know when we previously presented to the Booker T Community Association, there were members of that community who knew folks who lived in this building. And we're really proud of the fact that we have this beautiful building with world-class amenities, similar to what we want to, develop here at, on the Grand Street project. And there's a significant number of affordable housing apartments in this unit. This is just a picture of the same project, the completed project with the 2 towers. And one of the things we like to do is work with local artists. So this is a picture of a sculpture that we purchased from a local artist here in Jersey City, who was based up at the Manic Contemporary in Journal Square. And we just think that as we're working in a community like Jersey City, we want to make sure that we're working with the local artists and with the community to bring some flair and something to the project in that manner. So this has been something we're all very proud of. I'm going to hand it off to Max to take you through the specific project at Grand Street.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Max Lau. I'm an architect and an urban planner for Wireblender Bell. So we're really excited about this project. We're always excited about projects where we can kind of meld urban design, urban planning principles with architecture. So the site we're looking at is right on the corner of Grand Street and Monmouth, just sort of in the northeast quadrant of Florida. Slide, please. And you can see the site is sort of nestled right between the PSNG substation and the Jersey City Medical Center on the left side of the screen, and sort of directly across of Grand Street as well. And what's interesting for us is that we really think that this site is an important site as a gateway site. It's the first block coming in from under the highway from both directions, but it's also the gateway site to the future development, towards, Grand Street redevelopment, which is, sort of up sheet. So it's a really important, sort of pivotal site that we think is important to think about from the urban design and architectural perspective. Next slide, please. So the site is about 1.8 acres. As Councilman mentioned, this site used to be a junkyard scrapyard site, and it's sort of, it feels very industrial in nature today, right? And sort of, it feels like it really wants to be a site where we can sort of hold the corner and create sort of a gateway into the neighborhood. So there's some photos of the existing site from the ground level. So, so what we've done is we've started to look at the site and started to look at what kind of building might be appropriate on the site. And one of the things that we wanted to do is sort of build upon a number of urban planning, urban design principles. And one of them is to sort of really extend the experience on the sidewalk in that public realm. So the strategy that we employed is to sort of extend the active uses along Grand Street all the way to the corner of Monmouth and then turn that corner. So we go left to right at the top of the page. In yellow is we're proposing to be the lobby from the residential building. So that's sort of activated 24/7. People going in and out all the time. Next to that is in pink is a retail space, and then next to that is a larger retail space that really turns the corner from Grand Street south onto Monmouth. And again, we think that's really important to sort of hold that corner and bring that activity essentially for the full length of both Grand Street and Monmouth Street. And in doing so, the strategy is to put the parking behind it, right? So it's sort of moving away from sort of, maybe what traditionally we see where we've got the parking and then the retail sort of set back from the street. This sort of turns it completely around and creates sort of an urban building where the active uses are on the street and the parking is tucked in. If we just scroll down, I'll scroll up a little bit. One of the things we've been talking to city planning about is Gilchrist Street, right? So there's actually a street just south, right there. There's a right of way, it's about 50 feet wide, I believe. That's not used. It sort of just terminates on this block. And one of the requests that city planning asked us to look at was, well, could that turn into something like a recreation space for general public use? So this isn't a design for this space in our landscape architects. But what we did do was to just show a sense of scale, like what could possibly fit in terms of size, because, the basketball court that you see on the far left is a full-size basketball court, just to give a sense of like how big is this relative to the street. And then the little courts that you see on the bottom are like pickleball courts, right? So again, it's sort of this idea of starting to think about scale and thinking what could possibly be there. on Gilchrist. And then just before we go to the next page, the little dashed black line up above in sort of the C shape is the residential building up above, right? So above this, there's 2 more levels of parking, right? And it's all shielded from Grand Street and Monmouth with residential units, that sort of line. And again, that's another important planning principle. And then above that, we've got a step massing, basically in sort of a C shape that sits on top of that. So the next slide is a really, really early sort of sneak peek at what we're thinking about from the architectural point of view in terms of materiality and massing and so forth. So if you want to maybe just scroll up a little bit more, you can see.
There's a delay.
Oh, no problem.
And just so you guys know, Gilchrist is a paper street, so it's not nothing there now. It's what we consider one of those paper streets that's in cities of its area.
So this is, just a very early rendition of what that massing could be, right? Sort of how it steps down onto Monmouth. So on the left is Monmouth Street, and sort of the broadside view of this is Grand Street, and the PSE&G substation is sort of to the right of it, conveniently sort of not showing up really there on the right side. But what you can see on the ground plane is really important in terms of that retail coming around the corner, right? And if we sort of go from, again, oops.
I hope not. I'm sorry.
It died.
I think so. The power cord isn't powerful. You can continue. The Zoom is live on the phone.
Okay. So, well, that was actually the last slide.
Okay.
That we had.
Oh, right, perfect.
Give a sense of what we're thinking.
We can like paint a picture of the rest. So, couple things I want to note about, what Max talks about. We really are looking for feedback from the community and from Councilman Gilmore as it relates to that recreational space on Gilchrist Street. So, I think that's a great opportunity. That's something that we really do view as part of the among other things, part of the community give back here. So while it could be pickleball courts and a basketball court, it could be something else as well. I also wanted to note, when we met with the community a few years ago, one of the things that was suggested to us was, it'd be great. They would love to see. We heard the feedback. We'd love to see a pharmacy type use in that ground floor retail space. So while we can't guarantee that's going to happen, we have sized that larger retail space to sort of be in the right sort of sweet spot for a pharmacy, and being just adjacent to the hospital, and the feedback we've gotten, from some early conversations is we think that could work very well. So I think that's just another nice thing that could come together, and it was actually feedback we got from previous community meetings we had with Booker T. The next slide we had, which I don't think it's not up, but we really don't need it. We just speak to it is there is a pretty significant amount of environmental cleanup on the site. It previously was a junkyard. Part of it was, owned by the Jersey City Redevelopment Authority, and part of it was the junkyard. We've done extensive testing on the site, both soil and groundwater, and we are, working through a plan with the state DEP to clean it up. Most real estate sites, development sites in Jersey City require some level of cleanup. I would say this one is a little bit more extensive. We're estimating about over $1 million of cleanup costs for the site, and we're preparing to do that work, in the near term, which I think is just another important thing to the community. And I know it's something that's been a priority for many folks in the community is to clean these sites up and get those contaminants out of the neighborhood. The last thing we wanted to speak to, I want to invite Gary up to speak a bit about his program and what he's doing and how we have an opportunity to work together on this project. So, one of the things we've done in other communities and want to do here is really help support, local individuals in workforce training, and then give them an opportunity to actually work on the project. So I wanted to invite Jerry up to speak a little bit about what he's working on, and we have some specific commitments we want to make, but I'll give the floor over to Jerry.
All right. Good evening. I met with these five gentlemen about, I would say, 2 months ago. and, excuse me, just recently opened up a vocational school on Pacific Avenue, 150 Pacific Avenue. And it's going quite well. We had our first graduation class, but I talking about workforce because we have such a long list of people that want to participate. And funding is everything. So of course, each individual costs us $5,500 to educate them in certain fields. We do plumbing, electrical, carpentry, HVAC, and culinary. And we also do part of the 5,500 is what is it? Ultra 30. Excuse me. So they agreed to do 25 people to pay for a whole cohort of people that's gonna be trained. This is something that's not going to benefit me individually, but it's going to benefit the community. So, and this is what we're about. We're about community. Me and the councilman is strong about that, and we appreciate these gentlemen wanting to do that for the community. So I think you got a couple of questions too. I'm not answering no questions though. That's it.
All right, so we'll open the floor up to questions about the projects over on there. Let's start here first, because we started there first last time.
Hey, Councilman, can I say one? I just realized I forgot one thing just before we.
Okay.
So one thing we didn't mention is this project will have 15% of the units will be affordable. So this project falls under the city's inclusionary zoning ordinance. So I just think, it's obviously an important thing that we did not have a chance to mention. So what we're proposing here is will be 15% affordable. And just to tick them off, because we had a slide that talked about public community betterments. There's the recreational space we're going to be building. There's cleaning up obviously the soil. There's the workforce training that we're going to be doing with Jerry's team, and then there's the affordable housing. So that's just kind of high level summary, and we're here to answer as many questions as you have.
With regards to the recreation, that's going to be built and deeded to the city, correct?
That will be public space. I think there's still a question with city planning about who owns the space, but it'll absolutely be a permanent public easement.
Just quickly, is your project under a PLA agreement?
No, this project will not fall under a PLA.
So you have affordable housing, 15%, did you say?
Correct.
Okay, and you will have a general contractor building this project?
That's right.
Okay, well, my name is Danya Garcia. My background is in construction. We own a plumbing company, HVAC and general contractor, all licensed. We have a group of local contractors that don't get any work in Jersey City. We are trying to get work so that we can hire locals. I'm from Ward F. I'm born and raised here. And we all know that it's been a struggle to get local people work. Local people to not only do laborers, we're not laborers, we do plenty more. We have engineers, I have an engineering degree. And I just want to put it out there, not one developer in this area has given anyone an opportunity in this area. We have people coming from all kinds of cities outside of Jersey City, but no one in Jersey City is getting work. So I'd like to see maybe one developer really put an effort in letting us bid work, and not only letting us bid, but giving us a chance to get work and put people to work, local guys here that are young and can get trained in the trade. My father's a local plumber, went to 41 school in Snyder, and he's 67 years old. He's willing to help the young people here, and so am I. I want to put it out.
Anyone else on this side? Any questions on this side?
Yeah, just to respond to that, I would have no, I would commit to you that we would absolutely give you a chance. Like, I think, I've been involved in real estate development for 20 years and have worked on a number of projects where, sometimes there's subs that can take on a full package, or maybe you can take on a part of a package, but we can't guarantee anything, but we absolutely give you a chance. And, I think what we're trying to do with Jerry's team by committing, work is to not only give people training, but give them a job to work on. So it's totally in line with what you're saying.
My name is Chris Capers. I just wanted to piggyback on what she was saying. Born and raised in Jersey City. I am a part of the laborers. So it has been a challenge to get work here in Jersey City. So I just wanted to know, just like she was saying, would you give, like a direct hire or give an opportunity to people that live here, the opportunity to work on this project?
Right. Yeah, no, look, I think we're like I said before, we're gonna try and make that happen. I think it's finding, qualified subs that, can perform the work. And, one thing we could do is track the local workforce. We've done that on other jobs where we have to, track and report to the councilman on what percentage of the folks working on the job are local. Just as a way to like be held accountable and things. That's something that, I would be perfectly willing and able to do. I can't sit here today. There's a project that, realistically will start construction in, probably 2 years. So it's hard to like, guarantee you a job in 2 years, but I think we want to give everybody a shot and, really try and make a preference to, getting people in the community, work, because that ultimately that benefits us as well, right? Because reinvesting in that neighborhood, we're reinvesting, hundreds of millions of dollars in that neighborhood. So we need the people in that neighborhood to, make a living wage and do well as well.
Also, if you can talk about the apartment to parking ratio and then the dimension of the building that we're trying to separate up.
It's the building is 25 stories, as we saw on the screen. There are 600 units and about 220 parking spaces, roughly like a third, right? Third of the park.
And how many of those parking is designated strictly for commercial?
It's just the ground floor, so I think it might be around 60 or so.
Anyone questions in this room?
Because I'm very concerned about the contractors that we have here in Jersey City. They are not getting any work, and we have people from North Korea, everywhere around the world coming in where people have worked all their lives, spend all their time trying to make this a better place to live, and they do not have the opportunity to get a job making living wages. Number one. Number two, how many low-income apartment buildings, not just apartments, how many low-income buildings will you be paying out?
So how many low income apartments?
The building itself.
15%.
Just the low-income people, will you be in charge of any of those?
Any affordable housing.
Yeah, so we work on projects that are what I call mixed income. So it's a portion market rate and portion affordable. So this project's a mixed income project. So 15% of the apartments, or 90 apartments will be, set aside for affordable units.
Okay, so 15% of 90.
15% of 600, which is 90.
We actually need low income. There's a lot of homeless people in Jersey City. There are a lot of people that trying to buy building and they can't afford to buy building in Jersey City. And it's totally unfair. I wish the governor was here and I wish the mayor was here. Because what they have done to Jersey City has destroyed people's lives. And I hope them the best and I hope them the worst.
I watched 100 Grand Street being built from dirt to where it is now. It's a luxury apartment building, whatever you call it, right on the corner of Jersey Avenue and Grand Street.
Sure.
Beautiful building. So I believe there's a law within the state that X amount of apartments that are built are supposed to be designated for low and medium income people. Okay. I believe, because I did research, okay, on home opportunity. I called down there. I spoke to the actual manager of the building. And he said, you probably got a tax abatement for that. Tax abatement, like everybody.
Speaking to the mic so the.
But if you're getting a 30-year tax abatement and you're building this building that's supposed to have a certain number of units for low and middle income people, why isn't that being done? He told me what we're doing is we're leaving this luxury And we're building other apartments in other parts of the city. And making that supposedly for low and middle income people, which is not happening. Okay, we have $2,000 apartments on Bergen and Orient Avenue. It's ridiculous. People can't afford it. So can you explain more about the financial side of how you're building this building?
Sure.
And then in your other mixed income, where they're happening and what are people having to pay for rent?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so what I would say, and Councilman Gilmore can probably speak to this better than I can. You know, there haven't been a lot of tax abatements given out in Jersey City for a number of years. There were before, but you know, as far as I can tell, in the last number of years there haven't. And I think one's being proposed right now, but maybe we can talk about it. So that's just, and I don't know about the specific building you're speaking to and whether they have a tax abatement or not. Yeah. And what you're describing, you know, is something that has happened in real estate development where there's a 100% market rate building, and then instead of putting units, affordable units within that building, they build them offsite. They either make a contribution to like a sort of like a trust fund,
yes,
or they build a smaller apartment building somewhere else that's 100% affordable. So that's not what we've done. You know, we own 850 apartments, you know, at Metro Plaza next to the ShopRite. And that building has affordable apartments mixed within it, you know. And I took Councilman Gilmore there, and Jerry came over with me, and we walked it. And yeah, I'll speak to, you know, the specifics about it. So it's those buildings, those units, as well as these units, which how the city ordinance is set up, are set to 80% of average median income. So to give you a sense of scale, like 1-bedroom apartment rents for around, and it changes every year based on average median income. It depends on how large your family is and a number of other factors. It's around $1,200 to $1,400 a month for a luxury apartment. You know, you get all the same, you know, benefits of everyone else who lives in the building. You get access to all the amenities and the pool and everything else. So that's what 80% of average median income for a 1-bedroom apartment. So, and I agree. Like, I think, you know, within a community, there's all different needs, right? There's needs that, you know, different levels of AMI. And, you know, I just think at the end of the day, it relates to, you know, the economics of how the deal works and, you know, what the city policy is. So this project is following the city policy. So the inclusionary zoning ordinance calls for 15% affordable at 80% of average median income. But we will absolutely put those units within the building, and they're going to be mixed throughout the building. They're not going to be in another building. They're not going to be segregated in one part of the building. It's going to be, you know, everybody's going to have the same units, same finishes, same access to amenities, which, you know, seeing what's happened in Jersey City over the last 30 years, I think that's a lot better than what has happened, to be frank. I mean, most projects are 100% market rate.
Yeah, just so you know, I typically don't support abatements unless it's like 25% affordable at 50-60% AMI. This project is not asking for an abatement, and also I'm predominantly against paying into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, building affordable units other places, because those buildings may never come up. And I want, if you're going to make a pledge to do affordability, put affordable in the luxury towers that you're building, so everyone can have access to live with each other. But this project there's no conversation with no abatements.
I just want to piggyback off what our councilman said. You know, I'm against the Affordable House Trust Fund too, because, and I appreciate you guys doing the 15%, because Affordable House Trust Fund is not controlled by the people. It's controlled by the administration. It's you know, they could pick and choose whoever they want to give it out to, and it's noble that you guys is going to do the 15%, because that's going back to the community. So I just wanted to add that what Councilman Gilmore was saying.
You can go.
Okay, so I'm gonna take this to a different route. We're gonna go back to the recreation you had proposed. So you were showing a picture of an outdoor basketball court. Is there any way for an indoor basketball court? Cause that's what's really needed here in Jersey City is an indoor basketball court. Yeah, an indoor anything,
Mhm.
but it's an indoor, yeah.
I think what I recommend, you know, we'll have a series of discussions on this, is really get feedback from the community at large of what that recreational space should be before we make any commitments, but yeah, I don't think anything's impossible.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, you'll want a lot of supporters if you can put a white box where we can deck it out for some type of recreational space. This area is like on life support for something like that. Jen, hold on, Jen, you have a comment?
She been raising her hand the whole time.
I have a question about the development. I'm coming up there. I just wanted to make sure you guys are good back here. You good? Okay. All right, Erica, you have the mic.
Okay, thank you. Peace and power, Erica, Chief of Staff. And apologies, I didn't ask this question when you presented to us, but Lanisha just reminded me about the traffic that exists on Grand and Jersey and the danger to pedestrians. And so I know you guys aren't at Grand and Jersey, you're one block prior to that. But you could possibly help with this situation because people don't know when to cross. Because people are always turning right or going straight, or I mean, especially with the traffic coming from the pedestrian bridge and people coming from the turnpike trying to get to work. A lot of people cross Grand who don't even live here, who are just coming for whatever reason, and they don't think about pedestrian safety. And it may be too late for 100 grand to participate. I don't know if we're still supposed to be getting community givebacks from them from their abatement, but if at any chance you can partner with surrounding developers to create like a pedestrian bridge to help pedestrians cross Grand, so we don't have to wait at a light and the traffic can continue to flow. And we I don't know if you've ever been to they have a lot of them in Vegas, big cities, a lot of other large cities have pedestrian bridges.
They have it on St. Peter's College too.
Yes,
Right
on the boulevard, yes, to help people cross. Because I mean, with adding this development, it's going to add more traffic. It's going to add more cars. I mean, you're talking about 600 units. So yeah, people going to school in the morning, people coming home from work. That's going to cause that similar problem that we have at Jersey and Grand at Monmouth, and we don't have enough police officers to have somebody staying there with their lights on, scaring people into doing the right thing.
Look, I think as part of the site plan approval process, if the project, you know, is moving forward, we're gonna have to study, you know, obviously the traffic impacts, the pedestrian impacts, and making sure it's safe. You know, we work closely with the city on that and their transportation department. You know, the reality is, surprisingly, these apartment buildings do not create a lot of vehicular traffic. What we found, and you know, we own a significant number of apartments in Jersey City, and we're developing more. Just very few people in our buildings actually, you know, own cars now. It's around that, you know, 1/4 to 1/3. You know, and it's not like everybody's leaving or coming at the same time. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on that part of Grand Street, and you know, I do think there is some traffic calming that will be required as part of the project. So we'll definitely have to study it, and we'll work closely with your office and with the city to make sure, the administration, make sure it's done in a safe way.
Thank you.
Do anybody on Zoom have any questions, comments, and concerns as it relates to this? See, that's why I think it's always a good opportunity to have these conversations up front, right? So when we talk about revamping a redevelopment plan, I can, you know, say, hey, listen, you said X, Y, and Z, you're going to have this affordable, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. So that way you can go relook at the program and see for them if it makes sense financially. You know, I think it's always a good idea to have these conversations early on and not when the plan has been approved and shovels in the ground and all that stuff.
So I do see one comment from Lindsay, or actually from Suzanne on Zoom. She totally agrees with cleaning up the environment, but as with every proposed building, we need to know what you're doing to address the parking issue. And how much parking did you say you were providing?
Yeah, 220 parking spaces.
And how many of that is public for the retail space?
60, I think you said the 30 is 60. So I think what's the ratio? I think it's 0.25. And you guys are actually above that threshold, right?
Yeah.
Because you have what, 200 parking spaces? That's a third.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, so it's about a third parking
Yes, a
available.
third. Do anybody have any other questions, comments, or concerns on Zoom as it relates to this project?
Suzanne?
Hold on, we have someone. Suzanne? Oh, someone.
She's unmuted.
There you go.
I am unmuted. Yes, I
Yes.
still have major concerns about the parking. In our ward, we have, I have to sometimes wait for half an hour, 45 minutes to find a place to park. So when you sit there and talk about building these great big buildings and you're not having enough parking for the people who live there, I'm thinking about how it's going to impact the rest of us. It just stresses me totally. Thanks.
Yeah, so I appreciate the question and understand the concern. Our intention is to build enough parking for the building. One of the things we do is, and it's required by our banks and our lenders and our investors, is, we have to do a market study and really understand the people who are going to live in that building and what the amount of parking and cars they're going to have, and make sure we're able to deliver that. Otherwise, it becomes harder to rent apartments. Because, to be frank, somebody who lives in this building is going to expect, if they have a car, to be able to park it in that building. It's not easy, as you said, especially on that side of Grand Street, it is not easy to find parking. I go park over by the hospital, so you're gonna, if you're not parking in the building, you're gonna be walking pretty far. So, which is not.
I mean, I'll take it a step further. If they not parking in that building, I don't know where they may be able to park in, because in that area, they have zone parking. We have an issue now where people in some of those big establishments, they're trying to see if I can help them be a part of the parking zones. And because the developers are saying these people that they're advertising these apartments to are not driving. So that's been a huge issue, and I don't know where the data is coming from, but I know me, I have 3 cars, just me. I ain't even counting the rest of my household, and I have 3 cars. So I don't know, I know I'm driving some cars. I don't know those traffic studies. I've always had issues with those traffic studies. I just don't know how they doing them and where they coming from. I know people drive. You have a question?
Yeah, my question is how many bike room, how many bike parking spaces around the house?
That's a great question. So, the requirement in this development plan is for every 2 apartments, you need 1 bike parking space. So we would have 300 space for 300 bikes.
Oh, so 300
More
bikes.
bike
200
spaces than cars?
200 No, 300 cars, 300 cars and 300 bikes.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I got a question, Frank.
Yes, someone should have. Is that
Hi,
Miss
how
Kemp?
are you doing? My name is Chanel. I'm just
Okay.
gonna ask the question. I'm a Y person, being born and raised in Jersey City, and being a person trying to get affordable housing. Knowing that it takes a really long time, it's been almost nearly impossible. I want to know why only 15%. Like, why not 25%? Because one of the issues that I've been facing trying to get affordable housing is that, first off, for some buildings downtown, we don't even get privy to find the information out after they get built. So even trying to find who's the leader offering the affordable housing, but also, if I do get on a list, being number 15,000 on a list, that doesn't feel great. It's like by the time I get the apartment, I'll be off this earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I can speak to that. One, I do know the city, because we work closely with the city, because we own over 100 60 affordable housing units in Jersey City. And, you know, it's separate from this project. You know, this is over at Metro Plaza. I believe the city has a website that they, you know, and it's gotten better where they list every affordable housing project in the city and, you know, how you access it and how you get on the wait list. And I know it's so frustrating. We've gone through the process, and you know, we do have units that, you know, come available, but we have a long wait list of people that you know, would like to have those units. So I appreciate your concern. In terms of the request to increase the affordable housing, it's just a question of economics. And it's, you know, for years in Jersey City, you could get a project like this zone and have zero affordable housing. The city set the requirement at 15%, you know, which obviously is a lot higher than where it's been at zero. You know, I do think, you know, if there's interest in going above that, then, you know, from our perspective, for the economics of the project to work and for the project to be viable, we would need to have some sort of pilot. And, you know, I think because, you know, in the current thinking, you know, in our discussion with, you know, the administration, I don't think there's much appetite to do a pilot to increase the affordable housing. But I personally, like, you know, I've developed mixed income projects all over the East Coast. And, you know, I think the city should consider, you know, requiring or offering pilots in exchange for a higher level of affordability. I think it's, you know, it's the best tool the city has to drive more affordable housing. And you literally have tens of thousands of units across the city that can be built with no affordable housing, you know, that are already approved and zoned. And it's the only way you're going to, you know, really make a significant dent in the number of affordable housing units, in my mind, is by offering pilots. But it's a tough thing politically, so yeah, it's not easy for me to say.
Yeah, also, I think we need to do a better job with the affordable housing stock oversight. I would like to see, which has been a challenge to do via legislation, is to, when every developer build a portion of affordable housing, the city is responsible for the recipients that go in those units. Because it's just human nature. Whenever you have things that's good at discounted rate, you're gonna reach out to the people you know. It's kind of just like, it's just how life works, right? Who you know. But in North, the actual city controls the individual names who go on the list to occupy the affordable unit versus the developers and or managing companies for the affordable housing stock. Because that's been a frustrating part for residents in Jersey City. They say, oh, you know, this project had 15% affordable, this project had 10, but when those apartments get filled and you do an inventory, 15% of the affordable units are not people from Jersey City. So, you know, that's part of the problem, and you know, that's why people are so outraged. I know we just did a project, 53 Fairview, and they did 55% affordable, and still that wasn't even enough. Right? The people just, with the cost of living, man, and I get it from an economic standpoint, as developers are building. You have to make the numbers make sense to the people you're borrowing money from. But we just really have to figure out a comprehensive approach where we're providing people the opportunity to have housing. I think that's a human right to have housing. You know, everyone should be afforded the opportunity to have something like housing. Hold on, someone.
I know an individual who was living in the unit down close to ShopRite.
Right.
It was affordable when they moved in, but then it became unaffordable when they had to move out. So how does that really work? Because they was there for like 4 years and had to move out. Because every year the rent goes up, their legal rent is $1,300. They had to afford that. But if you're going up $100 and $200 a year, they're not going to afford that. So how does it really work? You're saying affordable housing, we are allotting 15% affordable housing, but come 3-4 years, they can't afford it. So it's no longer affordable housing for that individual. So how does that really work? Because people who's thinking they're gonna go in there and live, they don't realize they're gonna have to leave in 3 or 4 years.
How long are the terms?
So I just wanted to respond to that quick because it's really not on them, it's a more general question. And it's kind of like a problem with just economics because in Jersey City, even if you have rent control, your landlords are allowed to increase rent 4% every year. And that's just standard economics. Things go up in price as groceries go up in price, everything goes up in price. What we need to push companies to do is also have your employee rates, your employment rate go up with that. So I think that's a missing factor in a lot of these conversations where everything's going up in price except for wages. And the government needs to be more proactive with raising wages. Like we just got a minimum wage raised, like we were fighting for 15 years ago and we just had that. When like we're not keeping up with that. So we need to put more pressure on our senators and legislators to raise the minimum wage just as fast, as high as a rate as everything else is raising. So it's a lot of factors involved there. But that's just the game of economics and capitalism, which we live in.
I would say that because you're right that basically the rents are fixed and set by the average median income, which is set by the federal government. And what happened in the last 3 or 4 years is that number went up a lot. With as you were mentioning, with inflation. And we did see some people in our building have pretty significant increases in their rent. So we worked with the city, and there's really two things. Some people end up making above the limit. So once you make above a certain amount of money, you actually are no longer eligible for that unit. And we talked closely with the city, and we made a determination, based on our agreement that once someone's making over, I believe it's 120% of average median income, they're no longer eligible for those affordable housing units, and they no longer sort of fit the, even though they very well, they probably can't afford a market luxury rate unit. In the city's determination and really just general policy around these mixed income units, they're no longer eligible. But one thing we did do, because we were seeing these pretty significant increases based on federal census numbers, is we instituted a voluntary cap where in no instance, would rents go above 5% a year, which I know is not great, but you were seeing, to your point, like if you just follow the federal rules, like someone's rent could go up by 10%, which is just, doesn't feel right for an affordable unit.
Yeah, and also, in that instance, because that does occur a lot, the unit itself is still affordable. The person who is occupying it may no longer be eligible for that unit, but it's still like you can't loot the unit itself is not lost, but that person, like you said, it may be they may not be eligible for that unit no more. And then part of it is what Erica spoke to is that everything is going up in our paychecks.
Right.
Exactly.
We have a question from Suzanne on Zoom.
Suzanne?
Yes, I wanted to say something about the fact that I would love to see more affordable housing available. I teach at St. Peter's University. My students there, I don't know of any of them who are able to afford anything than something that would be subsidized. But I want to go back to something that you guys said about the fact that this new building would be, they would have one parking place for 2 units. And then you guys just said something about someone had 3 cars. So how is it possible to have somebody who has one car per unit. Just give me a second. One car per unit, and then you're only having one car per 2 units. Just don't understand that.
Yeah, hey, Suzanne, that was Councilman Gilmore. I was saying that I have 3 cars. So my whole thing is like, I really don't buy the notion that people are not driving.
Thank you.
I wholeheartedly believe that people are like, I see it, man. But the thing is, these developers, man, they're saying they're advertising to a certain demographic that people are not driving. I just know what my eyes see. You know, I can only tell what I see, and I see that people are driving. I know that I'm driving. I have 3 cars. I actually have 4 bikes. You know, I don't, just because I got a bike, I'm not gonna not have a car.
Right.
So I think
So Councilman Gilmore, I absolutely love you and I totally agree with you. But and you can have 3 cars, you can have 5. But when these developers are telling us that they can only have 1 car space for 2 units, that's ridiculous. And that makes my parking in Jersey City more difficult. So I agree with you totally.
But I think I think that's an issue more indicative of us as a city, because you know the developers are going to do what they got to do to make money. I think that's more indicative of where we stand as a city with the parking and dwelling ratio.
And isn't that all what it's all about, is making money? And isn't that why we're having so many issues? Because all people want to do is make money.
Speak.
Yeah, my name's Emmanuel. I presented at St. Peter's. I appreciate your question. I also just want to point out that more parking means more congestion. So, and the more parking that we build in the building, the fewer units, residential units and affordable units it could have. If it had less parking, it could have more affordable housing. So the more that people can take transit or use their bikes, the less congestion and competition for parking that we'll have.
I'd like to piggyback on that. I just wanted to piggyback on that, with regards to encouraging people to take transit. How many people know about VIA? Raise your hands if you know about VIA.
Me.
Okay, that's a decent amount of people. Glad to hear. For those who don't, VIA is those purple vehicles that drive around Jersey City. They're only allowed to pick up and drop off in Jersey City. It's a subsidized Lyft and Uber. So instead of paying Lyft or Uber $20 for a ride, you're paying VIA $250 to $350. And the city, our tax dollars subsidize it, and the city can do a better job at advertising it. To your point of encouraging people to take public transit, the city needs to do a better job of letting the community know how convenient public transportation is. So that's another thing that we have to put pressure on the city is, we know the master plan reflects that people aren't using their cars. That's what their master plan says while they did this study while we were locked up in COVID, that people aren't driving and builders only have to provide 1 unit per 4 bedrooms. So that's why you're not seeing the parking. But we also need to use the resources that our tax dollars are paying for. And in 5-10 years, like, there should be a big push of people giving up their cars and using public transit. But to play the devil's advocate, there's also people like myself that have little ones, and I'm gonna have a baby. So I'm not gonna want to be lugging around a car seat on public transportation. And it's hard to catch a VIA or catch an Uber and be like, hey, can you wait until I install this car seat? Like, they're not going to, they're gonna leave you. So there has to be some reality there, but it all goes back to participating in the city's master plan. They just did their master plan again while we were doing during COVID. But if we flood the line, say if we email the planning board like, hey, please reopen the master plan and make it 33% parking, or make it 1 parking spot for every 3 bedrooms, or trying to get subsidies or more grant funds for this, transportation. Like the government offered the buses for free for like 1 week. I'd like to see that done more often, so people can get used to experiencing public transportation. But it's on us to really push that legislation, not just on the local level, but on a state level as well, and contacting the legislators.
So we're gonna take one more question and we're gonna wrap it up, but we would like to share some valuable information with you.
I have nothing against you gentlemen as developers, but this is an old city. It's overdeveloped. That's part of the problem with all the congestion, no parking, all of this, all of that. I suppose there's not anything we can do now that it's starting to be developed. But what I'd like to see, if more of the city planner, I guess that's the person who's supposed to be in charge of it, or the urban planner, can look into, okay, build a parking plaza, just a parking plaza in a space where they're building all of these buildings that cost $2,500 a month for rent. Build a parking plaza so people can park there and then go to their homes. And also, you can continue to build homes or build places for people like me who are low income, but you still have people in this area that have to drive around, looking for, a parking space, sometimes a half hour, like I think someone said. So instead of building another unit or another building, which they build in small places, build a central parking plaza for every, 20 blocks or whatever. So somebody can go and park their car in there, because we don't have the infrastructure for all these cars that are now in the city because of all the building that started in the city.
Amen.
Can I just check on one thing? Okay, did you say that, the building is not gonna, there's residential parking, permit required there, and the building will not be within the residential parking, so.
Well,
The
it's
tenants, are they gonna be taking the parking or?
But it's gonna be hard for them to park in that meeting area, because it's already zone parking around.
That's what I mean. So is the people who are coming to the building, are they gonna be issued zone parking too?
No, they're
not
not eligible.
They're not eligible for zone parking, so ultimately, they're not taking up.
Street parking, no.
Street parking.
No, we're talking about parking being a problem without this. You said it right now, as we speak. Yeah. So again, yeah, it's not that problem, but we just was saying what it was. So again, we do want to thank you guys for presenting. For us, we appreciate you very much. Just some closing remarks. Thank everyone for coming. Thanks Zoom for tuning in. Make sure you visit the new affordable housing portal. Make sure you familiarize yourself with everything Ward F. I'm not saying it just because we're in Ward F, because I'm the councilman. There's really some cool, nice stuff on that website. It's a lot of need to know information. Of course, if you have any issues as it relates to what's going on in the city, you can always call resident response at 201-547-4900. Make sure you get your infraction number, or at the very least, get the information or the name of the individual you spoke to. This Saturday, of course, every other Saturday we do the community caucus. The community caucus is a time for me to sit down and talk with the residents about how the city spends money, what ordinance are being slated to be voted on, and all of that stuff. So if you can tune in, please, every other Saturday at 11 a.m. It really helps me to advocate for you guys as it relates to what you want to see. And we go over the entire agenda. That's every other Saturday at 11 a.m. This Saturday, we're going to be in General Square talking about the Pompidou tax abatement that the administration is proposing. Like I said, I have been very adamant about the utilization of tax abatements. I wholeheartedly believe that if you're saying you want to be a part of the fabric in a community, that at the very least you can do is provide on-site affordable housing. I don't even know how that's legal. I don't even know how I can say, let me build a building here and I'm going to donate money into Affordable Housing Trust Fund and we'll let those people live over there. For one, that building may never come to fruition, but that developer will receive those tax breaks almost immediately. So that is extremely problematic for me. And just so you know, this is not a matter of Councilman Gilmore being opposing to the arts. I'm an artist myself, but my job as a council person is to make sure we're making good decisions from a financial standpoint as it relates to your to the residents in Jersey City. So I just wanted that to be out there. You know, the powers that be will try to paint it as if I'm against the arts. I don't want art. And in fact, I think that if the state seen a feasible mechanism for funding, they would have continued to put the Pompidou where it was going to go in the first place. I'm not the only one that have questions as it relates to the finance. That's what the state's saying. Right, so don't make this about me and being a financial mess and all of that. Like the state is saying that. And ultimately, my job as a council person of Ward F is to represent the interests of my constituency. I know that I'm seeing people lose houses via tax liens. I'm seeing people being pushed out and placed out. So at the very least, I want to make sure I'm advocating for this demographic.
Saturday,
Also,
11 o'clock, slip out.
Oh yeah, Saturday, 11 o'clock on Sip Avenue. Again, look on the website, the page, we have the exact location, and you guys have the handout as well. So Jersey City was just awarded some funds to deal with mental health intervention. I'm so grateful we were able, well, Jersey City Anti-Violence were able to secure those funds because we have a huge mental health issue here in Jersey City, and we must look out for our most vulnerable population. We should not look at mental health as if something is wrong with those people genetically. These are just people that need more help than you and I. In fact, I'll make the argument that we all have some level of mental health. Some of us just cope with it better than others. So, you know, we just want to make sure we're looking out for that demographic. And also the 95.5, I know most of you guys are not part of it, but I know people who tuned in are part of the 95.5. We're going to be having meetings on that soon, trying to help those homeowners out as it relates to, again, taxes. And last but not least, I always encourage everyone to start a block association, be a part of your block association, and again, start one if you don't have one. So with that being said, we do have about 4 minutes, 4 minutes for any further questions, comments, or concerns. 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 60 seconds in each minute. It's time to start now. So we have 4 more minutes for any follow-ups that anybody have to say. I'm seeing no hands. I'm seeing no one on Zoom.
Gilmore, quick question with the mental health funds. Are they still giving out funds like to other programs that's helping with mental health?
No, well, the mental health funds that I'm speaking of is the Seabrooks and Washington grant that was handed out via the state. They've already said that they're earmarking and designating that money for a specific nonprofit.
Gotcha, thank you.
But there is an announcement though. There are funds or there are opportunities to get trained if you're interested in being a mental health provider or being helping or getting certified in mental health crisis. They call it first aid. So it's adult mental health crisis first aid training. You can reach out to Health and Human Services. There's going to be an upcoming training on, I believe it's on September 30th. We were just getting the flyer revised, but it's going to be at the Bethune Center. And anybody who is interested in getting certified, this is a 3-year certification that they're handing out. When you go to this training, you can get certified to be able to recognize when a mental health crisis is happening and provide first aid assistance to that situation. It's training, again, you can contact Health and Human Services. The new flyer says the 30th on Monday. On Monday? Well,
Adult mental health.
I understand, but when they sent, the 30th is a Monday. And on the flyer, it said Saturday the 30th, so we have to get that figured out because Saturday is not the 30th. So we're still working on getting that flyer, corrected. We have one question in the audience.
Yes.
Quick,
For
would that be
training.
posted on
Yeah,
the
it's for adults.
Yes,
Would that-
And another question on the Zoom?
Also, just before I go, I just don't want to take it for granted that everyone understands what a pilot is. So essentially a pilot is payment in lieu of taxes, right? So it's an agreement that's worked out that basically tells the developer that, hey, if they didn't get the pilot, they will be paying the regular annual taxes on said property. A pilot is saying, hey, no, you don't have to pay the regular rate. You can pay a reduced rate. And if you know anything about the municipal budget, all of our revenue typically comes from taxes. So when we giving out pilots to different developers, we're placing a burden on other individuals to make up the price of the municipal budget. Our last budget we just passed, I think it's in the area of $700 and something million, right? So a lot of pilots are closing out. So some abated properties are going back to be taxed traditionally, which is going to be a huge benefit. But I'm just of the opinion that, I mean, I know how capitalists work, but for God's sake, when you have people that companies worth $1 billion, I just don't see where they need a break at. I just can't, and especially not subsidized by the people who's barely making it paycheck to paycheck. So you know, and even if you don't, that's my position on the pilot and the abatement on the Papa Do Center. And Coach to me, and even if your assessment of the project is contrary to mine, I'm not going to say go there just to, speak up on behalf of what I'm saying. Let your voice be heard. Whatever your concerns or how you feel about the project, you go and let that concern be heard. More importantly than anything else is that you let your voice be heard, because for so long, when certain conversations come up, certain demographics, voices have been muffled, right? You feel like you're not a part of the conversation. You feel like you're not a part of the us, right? So let your voice be heard, whatever it is, let your voice be heard. I am strongly opposed to this project because I just think that given the current climate in Jersey City as it relates to our finances, we don't need to be entering into this type of agreement. It's so much uncertainty. I'll tell you one thing, I can't walk into a bank with an incomplete financial statement and get any funding. Right? So these are the questions that we have to ask. And historically, people would just, because, I don't want to be the bad guy. I don't want them to blackball me. So I'll just go. I'm not going along to get along. I'm telling you, I've been told y'all that before I got elected. I'm not going along just for the sake of getting along. If I wholeheartedly believe something is right, then that's what I'm going to fight for. On that note, you get home safe, get to your kids, make sure your kids get to school tomorrow. Have a nice night.
Thank you. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Alrighty.